Okay, so this is where we're at. So again, the first thing we're going to do is just the midpoint. So this first blank up here, again, there should be no talking right now. So the first blank up at the top, it says yesterday we found the slope using the points or the coordinates for 2 points, right? So what we did is we used the points x1, y1, and the point x sub 2, y2, right? And of course, the formula we used yesterday was, I'll just put it over here on the side. Yesterday's formula was for the slope, which was m, and we subtract the y's on the top, and we subtracted the x's on the bottom. So we're still going to use these 2 points to create our formula for the midpoint. So the formula for the midpoint, I already showed you guys up on the board. We're just going to average the x values and we're going to average the y values, right? So all you got to do is add the x's and divide by 2, and then add the y's and divide by 2. So your formula is going to look like you add the x's and divide by 2. And those x values, the x with the x1 and the x2, those are the x coordinates of the end points. We're trying to find the point in the middle. And then we're going to average the y values also. So it's going to be y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And that's going to give us the coordinates of the midpoint. So if I drew you a little picture here, basically you've got 2 endpoints, and you want to find the point right in the middle. That's the midpoint. And then this point over here would be your one endpoint would be at x1, y1. And this point over here would be your other endpoint. That would be at x2, y2. Make sense? That's what we're after, is find that point in the middle. So we're trying to find the coordinates of the point in the middle. All right, so let's go right to the examples here. So maybe on this first one, I'll actually draw you a picture so you can see what you're doing. But you don't need the picture to do it. So let's say, I'm going to draw a picture over here on the side. So for this one, you'd have, let's see, negative 4, 3. So you'd have a point like up here. And then you'd have a point like 6, negative 2 would be like down here. So you'd have 2 points. So this is the point G. That's at negative 4, 3. And this is the point H. That's at 6, negative 2. And again, we're trying to find this point in the middle right here. So we're after that. That's our midpoint. All right, well, let's do this. So all we got to do here then is just add the x's. So what are the x values?
-4 and 6.
Yeah, it's these two. And the order is not important here. Do you guys see that? If you're using that formula, if you do negative 4 plus 6, you get the same thing as if you do 6 plus negative 4, right? So you can do it either way. But we're just going to add the x's. And then divide by 2. And then we're going to add the y's. So what are the y's? So we got 3 and negative 2. So we're going to add the y's. And also divide by 2. And that's going to give us the coordinates of the midpoint. We just got to simplify that. Now, if you're going to put that in a calculator, make sure you put parentheses around this numerator or you will get the wrong answer. because if you do it without the parentheses, only the 6 will get divided by the 2. But I think you guys can do this. So what's negative 4 plus 6?
2.
What's 2 divided by 2?
1.
So that should be a 1. And then what's 3 plus negative 2?
1.
That's 1 over 2 would be 1/2 or 0.5. So that should be the coordinates of your midpoint. So that would be this point right in the middle right here. That would be at 1, 1/2. So if we did this nice and neat on a piece of graph paper, if we plotted these 2 points, negative 4, 3, and 6, negative 2, we'd find that that point right there is right in the middle. All right? So this next one, let's just do it without a picture. So we'll do number 2. We're just going to do 1, 2, and 3, and then I'll give you a few of these to try. So number 2, we're just going to do it without without a picture. So what are my x's? So add those together and divide by 2. And then what are my y's? Add those together and divide by 2. So this is not too bad, right? So you get 27 divided by 2. Good, Ryan, 13.5. And then you got 12 plus 11. 23 divided by 2. There you go. So that's it. That's our midpoint. Maybe I'll call it M for midpoint. All right. Now this next one's a little bit more tricky. This next one, number 3. This time they're giving us the midpoint and one endpoint, and we got to find the missing endpoint. So let me try it. I'll draw you a little picture of this one. So let's see. N is at negative 5, 4. So that's going to be 5 left, 4 up. So that's going to be like right here. So that's point N. All right, and then the other point, P there, that is the midpoint. You see it says that right there? It says P is the midpoint. So P is at negative 1, 3. So that would be 1 left, 3 up. So that would be like here. So that's P. We're trying to find the missing endpoint, which would be Q. So can you guys see, I'm not going to make this exact, but it's going to be somewhere over there, right? Let me try that again. It's going to be somewhere over here. So we got to try to find it. Well, the formula I gave you guys says that you, if you want the x-coordinate of the midpoint, you just add the x-coordinates of the endpoints and then you divide by 2, right? So let's do this. Let's call, I don't know, how should I do this with you guys? Again, we know it's somewhere over here, okay? So let's call this point we're trying to find, let's call that x2, y2. All right, and then this one again was negative 5, 4. And the point P there, that was at negative 1, 3. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is if you do the x-coordinate of the point in the middle, let's call that x sub m. If I add the x-coordinates of the endpoints and divide by 2, that will give me this thing. This is the x-coordinate of the midpoint. So let's plug in what we know. What is the x-coordinate of the midpoint?
-1.
Yeah, it's right here, right? So we know the x-coordinate of the midpoint is negative 1, so we're going to put that in right here. So that's going to be a negative 1 equals. And then what's the x-coordinate of the one endpoint that we know? What's that?
-5.
Yeah, we know this x coordinate of this endpoint is -5, so we're going to put that in right here. So then this is going to look like -1 equals -5 plus x2 over 2. And then we just got to solve that for x2, and then we'll know the x coordinate of this endpoint. And then we can do the same thing for the y, so let's set that one up. So for the y coordinate of the midpoint, you add together the y coordinates of the endpoints, and you divide by 2. Do we know the y coordinate of the midpoint?
3.
Yep, that one is, let's find a different color here. That one is, well, let's try this. That's 3, right? It doesn't show up very well. Let me try this color instead. So the y coordinate of the midpoint is 3, so we're going to put that in right here. So that would be 3 equals, and then what's the y coordinate of the one endpoint that we know? That's that. That doesn't show up very well either. Let's try this. So that we're going to put that in right there. That's the y coordinate of the one endpoint that we know. So we'll put the 4 in there. And then that's plus y2 over 2. And again, y2, that's the missing y coordinate of this endpoint right here. All right, now we just got to solve both of those little mini equations we wrote. So let's do that right here. So how would you solve this thing right here? What's the first step? Yeah, we got to get rid of that 2 on the bottom. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So I'll multiply this side by 2, and I'll multiply this side by 2. And then these 2's will cancel. So let me come over here. So now on the left-hand side, I've got 2 times -1. So that's -2. And on the right-hand side, those 2's canceled out, so I just got -5 plus x sub 2. How do I finish solving that for x? Yep, add 5 on both sides. Peter, you okay? All right, these cancel out, and I get the x coordinate for my missing endpoint is equal to -2 plus 5, that's 3. So we got that one. Then we got to solve this equation over here to get the y coordinate of the missing endpoint. So how do you solve this one? First step, how do we get rid of the 2 again? Yeah, good. So we're just going to multiply both sides by 2. These 2's are going to cancel over here on the right. So then I'll come over here again. So then on the left-hand side, I got 2 times 3, that's 6. 6 is going to equal 4 plus y2. Now how do I finish solving for y2? Yep, subtract 4 on both sides. And I get 6 minus 4, that's 2. These cancel out, so I got the y coordinate of the missing endpoint is 2. All right, so let's kind of put this together on my picture over here. So the point we found that the x coordinate of the missing endpoint was right here. That is 3, right? That's what I found right here. So that's a 3, and then the y coordinate of the missing endpoint, that's right here. That's a 2. So it's 3, 2. Does that kind of fit with my picture that I drew? I didn't draw it very well, but can you guys see that would work? It's at 3, 2, so that would be 3 to the right and 2 up, which would put me right there.